Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Brightwell. I worked with Dr. Johnson as my mentor to create my presentation titled Alligators as Ecosystem Engineers and Their Keystone Roles in Florida's Freshwater Ecosystems. To begin, I'll just start with an overview of what I'll be talking about in my presentation. My species of interest was the American alligator, or Alligator mississippiensis, which is a key species in Florida's freshwater ecosystems. Historically, overhunting and habitat loss caused their population to decline, and the species was declared endangered in 1967. Today, alligators still face ongoing threats, including continued habitat loss, pollution, and changes in hydrology caused by human activities. Alligators play several crucial roles in their ecosystems. They act as ecosystem engineers by modifying their habitat. They serve as keystone species through their interactions with other species and function as ecological indicators reflecting the overall health of the ecosystem. The American alligator is a large, cold-blooded apex predator native to the southeastern United States and plays a particularly vital role in the Florida Everglades. After significant population decline, the species did recover from endangerment by 1987, all thanks to effective management and protection efforts. Alligators contribute to ecosystem health by supporting nutrient cycling, maintaining biodiversity, and aiding in restoration efforts throughout freshwater habitats. The Florida Everglades is the largest subtropical wetland in the United States, though today it is about only half of its original size, which was about 10,000 square kilometers. It contains several diverse habitats, including prairies, sloughs, ponds, tree islands, mangroves, and more. Water depths naturally fluctuate, and periodic droughts are a natural part of the ecosystem. However, human activities have altered the Everglades' natural hydrology, creating changes in hydro periods or the timing and duration of flooding through building canals, levees, and roads. These hydrological changes affect prey availability, habitat conditions, and increases environmental stress. Human activities such as road construction, agriculture, urban development, and flood control have significantly altered the Everglades' natural landscape. These changes disrupt the natural seasonal hydro periods, which in turn affects the amount and quality of water that reaches coastal areas. To address these impacts, the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, or CERP, was launched in 2000 to take place for 35 years. It is the largest hydrologic restoration project in the United States to date and aims to restore a more natural water flow throughout the Everglades. A study by Ugart and colleagues in 2013 examined how hydrology affects American alligator populations in Everglades National Park. The researchers conducted aerial surveys with helicopters to count nests and nest failures and measured clutch size and egg condition, comparing this data to patterns in water levels. They found that disruptions to natural water fluctuations caused flooding in nesting areas, making habitats unsuitable for successful nesting. Alligators naturally time their nesting and hatching to coincide with water levels, so maintaining these natural hydrology patterns is essential for their reproductive success. That brings me to my study question, which is why is the American alligator so important in Florida's freshwater ecosystems, especially in the Everglades? And I'll be focusing on three key roles of the alligator in these ecosystems. First, as an ecosystem engineer, alligators alter habitats by creating alligator holes, which provide refugia or critical refuges for other species during dry periods or periods of environmental stress. Second, they act as a keystone species and facilitating ecological interactions, and in this case, by supporting wading birds that rely on alligators for nest protection. Finally, alligators serve as ecological indicators, making them a recognized species for monitoring ecosystem health and restoration success in the Everglades. Alligators create alligator holes by sweeping sediment out of an area and building up the sides with their bodies and their tails, forming depressions in the landscape that can be permanent or semi-permanent. The water that remains in these holes provides refugia for fish and other organisms during dry periods or periods of environmental stress. These alligator-created habitats also drive bottom-up trophic cascading, increasing the availability of resources for a variety of other species throughout the ecosystem. A study done by Flood and colleagues in 2025 modeled catch per unit effort, or CPUE, over 25 years of data to examine how alligators facilitate other species during periods of environmental stress. Alligator-created refugia allow large marsh fish to survive these stressful conditions, which in turn supports plant production, nutrient availability, and overall biodiversity. If alligators are lost, these refugia disappear, leading to declines in ecosystem health and resilience. A different study done in 2023 by Strickland et al. Sampled 10 alligator holes and extended outwards from the alligator holes into 3 distinct different habitat types and compared them to the larger marsh environment. They found that alligators stir up nutrients from sediment, returning them to the ecosystem for use, and transport nutrients across both aquatic and terrestrial habitats with their movement. By creating variation in both biotic and abiotic conditions, alligator activity increases overall biodiversity, making them an important ecological engineer in the Everglades. Next, we'll talk about Keystone species, which is a species that has a large impact on its ecosystem and helps provide stability for the overall community. Alligators interact with species in important ways. For example, in my case, I'll be talking about the mutualistic relationship with wading birds. Alligators provide protection for these birds, shielding nests from predators such as raccoons and possums, which are the most prevalent predators of colony nests. Alligators also benefit from these interactions. During dry periods, when movement is more difficult, alligators gain access to concentrated food sources near bird colonies, which supports their energy needs, especially during reproduction. One study found that birds actively choose nesting sites where alligators are present, and it is suspected that the presence of alligators serves as a cue for a high-quality habitat and vice versa. In a study conducted in 2016 by Nell and colleagues, they compared alligators from bird colony sites to those from non-colony sites. Researchers captured alligators and collected blood samples, snout length, and body mass data to assess body condition. They found that alligators near colonies benefited from food provided by fallen chicks, which can actually support large populations of alligators. Additionally, bird guano or bird droppings can contribute to increased primary and secondary production in these areas. Overall, alligators living near bird colonies showed better body condition, highlighting the benefits of this mutualistic interaction. Alligators also serve as effective ecological indicators, and this is because they reflect overall ecosystem health, they respond clearly to environmental changes, and they can be easily monitored to guide management and restoration efforts. Monitoring population numbers and body condition can reveal impacts such as depth fluctuations, which may reduce prey availability and lead to reproductive declines. Recovery of these populations can take about a decade since alligators reach sexual maturity between 8 and 12 years of age. Additionally, habitat degradation and chemical spills can negatively affect reproductive health, making ongoing monitoring critical for conservation and restoration planning. During dry periods, reduced water availability increases energy expenditure for males searching for mates. Crowding and limited refugia can also lead to cannibalism of smaller alligators and even desiccation if the spot dries up. Smaller or juvenile alligators are particularly sensitive to salinity and are unable to tolerate salinity above 10 parts per thousand. Because alligator health closely reflects water quality and availability, monitoring these populations provides important insight into the condition of freshwater ecosystems. So just to summarize what we've covered so far, the American alligator plays 3 critical roles in Florida's freshwater ecosystems. As an ecosystem engineer, alligators alter habitats to make them more suitable for other organisms, primarily through the creation of alligator holes. As a keystone species, they have a large influence on ecosystem stability. Their interactions with wading birds demonstrate how their presence supports other species, and removing them could destabilize their ecosystem. Finally, as an ecological indicator, the body condition and health of alligators reflect overall ecosystem health, providing insight into factors like pollution, altered hydrology, and salinity changes. So hopefully by this point you have learned why alligators matter for the Everglades, but in case you haven't, I'll tell you again. They improve habitat conditions for other organisms, especially during periods of environmental stress. They serve as key ecosystem components, providing stability and support for other species. And finally, alligators act as indicators of ecosystem health, giving scientists valuable information to guide restoration and management efforts. In the future, further studies could explore how alligators respond to environmental stress, since several authors noted that this is still understudied. Another could investigate whether the ecological facilitation observed between alligators and wading birds is driven by environmental cues or by genetic factors. Research could also examine the role of alligators across other habitats in the southeastern United States, comparing differences in management practices, habitat types, climates, and human impacts. These insights all help to inform conservation, restoration, and management strategies to ensure the continued health and stability of freshwater ecosystems. Thank you all for listening. I hope this presentation has given you a better understanding of the American alligator's vital role in Florida's freshwater ecosystems as ecosystem engineers, keystone species, and ecological facilitators. Thank you.